Hey, it's me, Hrishikesh Kannan, popularly known as Hrishi K. Subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit the bell icon now to get the latest videos and get taken into a world of entertainment, culture, sport, business, and current affairs.
Can we do a round of India-Pakistan memories? And I don't mean in a jingoistic fashion कि हमने पाकिस्तान को हराया type of things. I mean, even if you're not great cricket fans in the real world, if you have some memories, like, I loved Wasim and Waqar when they were at their height, exponents of fast bowling. I've loved how Dhoni and, Joginder and Srishant and gang won us the T20 World Cup. So any India-Pakistan memories that you have over the sands of time, because that's such an important part of this series. Tanuj, let's start with you.
Okay. 1996 Wills World Cup quarterfinals in Bangalore, India, Pakistan. Wow. Jadeja plays that blinder, hitting all those one-handed shots, getting us to a respectable score. And then Aamir Bashir comes out to bat, hits a boundary, hits another boundary, and tells Venkatesh Prasad, I'm going to hit you there next. And next ball, he bowls a leg cutter and sends Aamir Bashir stumps for a walk. And just the send-off that he gave him, I mean, I will never forget that. It's etched in my
And Venki was one of those, strong, silent, sweet kind of guys.
Yes, and he really, he really gave it off to him.
Hello, people. Hi, Akshay. Hi, Tanuj.
Hi.
Hello, Richa. Hi, Aamir.
Hi.
Hi, everyone.
Tanuj is channeling the inner Vayu in him. His fash is something I can't get over. I met him last week for an interview. He just knocked it out of the park. What t-shirt is it today?
It is a hoodie.
Simpsons? It's a Simpsons thingy.
It's like a Gyani Baba.
It's a Gyani Baba. Nice one. Richa, what is the feminine opinion on Tanuj's fashion sense?
Oh God.
It's beautiful. Tie and dyes in, and it looks great.
Nice.
Well, on that note, can you see?
ये बिक गई है with Richa, it's never just about the fash. It's also about making a relevant social statement, which is why we love her for what she is. Yeah, good. So, Akshay,
I missed that. What is it?
I said with Richa. Oh, you missed the t-shirt. Then she's got to do the honors.
Okay, but I can't read.
No, it's not.
Anyway, sorry. Anyway.
So, Akshay, I spoke to VO, which is Vivek Oberoi, and his words were, I'm really excited for the kid to enter this. So there's still a bit of that elder brother, younger bro, kid, that vibe happening. Is that how it exists with Vivek and yourself?
I guess so. Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, he's been really sweet talking about my work in the show, and it's just like a nice coincidence that I ended up in his franchise. I mean, he does have this elder brotherly when we interact, which is not as often as I'd like, but whenever we do, he does, the kid and the beta and bacha do appear. So it's nothing but love. Yeah.
Good, man. It's always great when siblings are working together or, cousins are working together.
Unfortunately, we didn't have any scenes together. It's coincidence to be in the show.
Yeah. So, Richa, Zarina's, oh God, the journey through all the seasons has been quite a typhoon, if I might say so.
Yeah.
And just when you think what else is there for the writers to explore, seems there's a lot more to explore. And when you approach a new season, do you approach it with anticipation, or do you approach it with, I don't know what's going to come my way? Because technically, I mean, even though your creator is the same, you have a new director, isn't it? Kanishk is somebody who's taken on the mantle from this series.
Yeah.
So talk to me about entering 3 before you started filming it.
About approaching 3, initially I was a little bit concerned that there's in season 3, they say discover every man's thumbs through. In this season, it seems like Zarina has none, because of everything that she's been through. she's kind of learned how to play the game. She wants a bigger piece of the pie for sure, but she also wants revenge on some level for being wronged or lied to or being used. Initially, whatever I thought was a little, like I had a chat with the writers initially about how um, there's no trace of love life or any other relationship in her life right now at this moment in season 3. And I thought that was initially a drawback, but uh, now with the way the graph is flowing, I think it makes complete sense for her to not have any liabilities or like any thumb screw at all. So it's gotten into a really like power hungry space, which I think is the need of a show such as this. I really hope that you like what's happening, particularly with this Rohit Chandbag track that they've put in with our beloved Akshay and also with Zarina and the between Dhawan and Bhai Saab. What is happening between them? Why is he Bhai Saab? Why is he Dhawan? Etc. Those things are really fun to watch.
When I go through episodes of Inside Edge, I can never look at cricket the same way again. I know it's a fictional show. I know it's a fictional show. Don't get me wrong. But your mind just can't run back to, hey, what if this were true? Aamir, has that ever happened to you? I mean, as Aamir Bashir, not as Bhai Saab. That, A, do you follow cricket at all? And if you do, or if you did you go through moments where you said, man, the show could this be the way it is?
Well, I think we were disillusioned before this show came on, and I guess that was a show like this was the need of the hour because we were already exposed to all kinds of corruption and in terms of match fixing and things like that. We had already been through that phase. And then when the T20 IPL league started and, all the paraphernalia that came with it and the glamour and the mixing of, earlier it was cricket and politics and now it was cricket, politics and Bollywood. And that is a heady cocktail for anybody from not just India, but the subcontinent, So in that sense, that's what makes this series all the more engaging and interesting for the viewers, because you have an idea of, there is stuff happening behind the scene, but what is it exactly? Of course, it still remains a fictional account. It's not like a documentary, so it's not like exactly this is who the person is, or there is no such thing. But of course, you draw from everything that has happened before, and then you fictionalize it and make it as entertaining as possible. So in that sense, I was disillusioned, had stopped. I'm more of a football fan. I had stopped watching cricket, but I still watch a lot of test cricket, especially if it's happening in Australia, England, South Africa, where the wickets are, make for a more interesting game.
Nice. Well, the Ashes are around the corner, so I'm sure you'll keep an eye on that. Tanuj, I like the fact that this has gone from a local league, a professional league, to the nation.
Right.
And we're actually in the midst of just that, since I mentioned the Ashes, because, Steve Smith was literally asked to exit from Australian captaincy because of a scandal called Sandpaper Gate.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, the current Australian captain, which is Pat Cummins, turns around and says, I'm not playing unless he's my vice captain.
Yeah.
So, and there's a lot of opposition, even in Australia, for people who are turning around and saying, this very Steve Smith can't be back as vice captain, which is just a step away from captaincy. Like if Pat Cummins pulls a hamstring, what happens?
He's the captain. Yeah.
He's the captain.
Yeah.
But having said that, bad boys, or people who have been perceived as bad boys, are increasingly taking on leadership roles. And that's what Vayu is going through right now, right? I mean, he's turning around and saying, I might not be exemplary in my off-field behavior. I want you to comment on that, given the light of what's happening in cricket and your character's evolution as far as the captaincy is concerned.
It's crazy how sometimes life imitates art and not the other way around, right? I mean, like I did not even think of it in this way, and everything that's happening right now is pretty much like in the present, right? Because this entire scandal has been going on with Smith for the last 2.5 years. He was dropped and punished for like a year and a half, and now he's back and he's been playing wonderfully. With Vayu, I think the audience has never really seen what kind of a player he is when he represents the country. You'll see. You look at someone like
True.
Say like a Hardik Pandya. He's got a very different swag and a very different kind of vibe about him when he's playing for Mumbai Indians, which is club cricket, as opposed to when he's representing the country. I just feel that there is no matter what franchise you play for, no matter what you say, but the pinnacle of sport is representing one's country, and I feel even a fictional character like Vayu Raghavan does recognize that fact. So whether he is the captain, the vice captain, or just happy enough to be in the playing 11, it is something that is a huge privilege, because whoever he is today is only because of the sport. Cricket is what has nurtured him, as well as his sister Rohini, when they had no family, no parents, no backing from anybody in the system. So I feel, irrespective of whether he becomes a captain or no, his tenacity and his focus towards the game will always remain the same. But having said that, of course, he is vying for captaincy because it just gives him a whole lot of more authority and a lot more leeway to kind of like sculpt the team in his own image and make it the way and run it the way he would like to have it run. Because at the end of the day, it's not just about one player; it's about 11 players on the field, as well as the support staff, as well as the players on the bench. So, yeah, exciting times ahead. But there is a thorn in his flesh, whose name is Rohit Shanbhag.
Yes, there's so much excitement around that character.
Then it's decided. Then Vayu Raghavan is more of a Hardik Pandya than a Virat Kohli. We should put that to sleep now. Asking,
so much for people. So much for people who turned around and said it's Virat Kohli. It's more of Hardik Pandya.
Yeah.
Well said. So Rohit Shanbhag, man, there's so much of excitement. I mean, this is a cult show, an epic show, an Emmy-nominated show, and here's Akshay Oberoi, bang in the center of it. So tell me about the part. I'm not going to ask the others about that, because they've really grooved into their parts, but there's a lot of curiosity. Go.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm very excited about this for a couple of reasons. One is that how you rightly mentioned, it's a humongous show. And I mean, I'm saying this half jokingly, but there is a lot of truth to it, that I do a lot of work that nobody watches. Even if it's gets some good acclaim and some attention that way from the media and things like that, people don't end up watching a lot of stuff. So sometimes that gets a little frustrating when you've put out so much content that, like, you think is really good, and some people who have watched it do, but it's not watched. The eyeballs just on it. So the eyeballs are on it. The successful cricket itself is this, larger than life sport in India. And all these guys who were here before me have laid the groundwork for a very, beautiful show. In it specifically, Rohit Shanbhag, my character, I also just love the character itself. I can't really talk a lot about it because, Amazon won't let me, and they have their reasons. And, I think they just want to keep things a little, hidden. There are a couple of hints in the trailer that could tell you a couple of clues as to what this, what are the hidden kind of elements with this character.
Richa, I like the fact that in the opening credits, your name comes out first. For years and years and decades, women have gone through situations whereby even if they've had meaty, large parts, they're always number 3 or number 4 on the list. And, these fine gentlemen who are here with you, I'm sure would all agree that they would gladly put one of the leading ladies' names up ahead in front of them. Also,
I actually hadn't noticed, but thank you so much for saying that.
Yeah, and big ups to Excel, big ups to Amazon to do that.
Yeah.
To start with Richa Chadha and then go into...
We use Richa as a human shield.
Yeah. Now he's thrown a twist in the tail. but here's my point. I mean, it's just superb to see a badass woman character, somebody who's gone through a vulnerability, somebody who wants to take control, and now obviously there are no spoilers, wants the biggest seat in the country. Why
Yeah.
do politicians want to run cricket boards? Because it is one of the biggest seats in the country.
They
And
always run it. There's some fair weather ones who don't go out of style, whether
yeah,
or not they're in power. And then there are others who are like new aspirants, and it's very plain to see.
yeah. So here's my question to you: how often have women just come up to you and said, "I love Zarina Malik. I love the way she's badass. I love the way she kicks butt," and the whole gamut of things that happen with her?
Actually, any empowered part I do, the like that feels like the only um, sort of the biggest compliment for me is when a woman who was, I mean, see, I watched a very interesting interview of the late and great Smita Patil ji, where she's talking into camera and talking about how, जब कोई दबी सहमी कुचली ऐसे, भला है बुरा है जैसा भी है मेरा पति मेरा देवता है kind of narrative, which was so popular in the 80s and early 90s. When women watch those characters, they somehow believe, in addition to what society tells them, is that you're just supposed to have a higher threshold for pain and supposed to digest a lot of the things that come your way. In this case, I feel that with characters like Zarina, who really fights it, she's a fighter, or even Bholi, this like character in such a harmless like comedy film, Fukre. When these characters go ahead and do something like which totally defies any notion of what it even means to be a woman on screen, on screen also we have the same tropes, actually the archetypes remain the same. So when these characters go ahead and do something that are that just make it seem like the normal person can also stand up and take a stand, the normal average Indian woman. I'm really not delusioned and I'm delusional, and I'm not saying that this is happening because I'm playing these parts. I'm just saying any
Yeah.
empowered portrayal really causes that, and that I feel very happy about,
Yes,
genuinely,
that's a
because
great answer.
someone has to balance it. There's so many of the others. Someone has to exist to just balance it.
True that. Can we do a round of India Pakistan memories? And I don't mean in a jingoistic fashion कि हमने पाकिस्तान को हराया type of things. I mean, even if you're not great cricket fans in the real world, if you have some
Yeah.
memories, like I loved Wasim and Waqar when they were at their height.
Yeah.
Exponents of fast bowling. I've loved how Dhoni and Joginder and Srishant and gang won us the T20 World Cup. So any India Pakistan memories that you
Yeah.
have over the sands of time, because that's such an important part of this
Absolutely.
series. Tanuj, let's start with you.
Okay. 1996 Wills World Cup quarterfinals in Bangalore, India, Pakistan.
Wow.
Jadeja plays that blinder, hitting all those one-handed shots, getting us to a respectable score. And then Aamir Bashir comes out to bat, hits a boundary, hits another boundary, and tells Venkatesh Prasad, "I'm going to hit you there next." And next ball, he bowls a leg cutter and sends Aamir Bashir stumps for a walk. And just the send-off that he gave him, I mean, I will never forget that. It's etched in my
And Venki was one of those, strong, silent, sweet kind of guys.
Yes, and he really,
Yeah.
he really gave it off to him.
Wasn't this
Those
the
are the
game also
best
that Kamli
kinds.
broke down? I think Kamli broke down.
That was the game against Sri Lanka, the semi-final at
Ah,
Kolkata, the
yeah,
one
yeah,
which we
yeah.
lost, which was a very, very dark day in Indian cricket. Yeah.
Oh, but that's a
this
super
was a
memory,
game that
man.
happened before. Like, this was the quarterfinals.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Great memory. Akshay?
Man, it's a really unfortunate blame my American upbringing, but I have no memories. And I was saying yesterday, it's a gripe that I have with my dad now, because my dad used to watch. But like, why wouldn't he just tell me like, "Beta, dekho match"? Like he could have called me and I could have learned the sport earlier. But nothing, zero, absolutely zero. But hopefully there'll be memories now, because now I love the sport.
Akshay, back when you were in America, every year India and Pakistan used to play in Canada at Toronto. The
Yeah,
Sahara Cup.
man. Correct.
So that
Yeah.
was like around the corner.
Why didn't
And
he
those were
go?
really
He's a
awesome
cricket
matches.
lover.
In
He
fact, in
loves
one of those,
cricket.
in fact, in one of those games in Inzamam, go and beat someone up in the crowd because they
I
called him
really
Alu.
do.
Yeah, correct.
I really
Inzi was a
don't
character, dude.
understand it.
Yeah.
Actually, I've
He
been
It
was
was
so
right
cute
under your
though.
nose, bro.
I've been going through an existential crisis since yesterday when I realized, like, wait a minute, like my dad used to watch cricket. Like, couldn't he just say, "Beta, come watch
I'm
with
sorry
me.
to
I will show
I'm
you."
sorry to invoke dad issues here,
Man,
but
I'm having like daddy issues. Yeah,
that
like
that was not my intention.
on your interview.
Amir, any great memories in Indo-Pak rivalries over the past?
For me, it was the Bangalore test that Gavaskar scored 96 on a turning wicket against Abdul Qadir and Iqbal Qasim. Even though India lost the match, that was one of the greatest test innings probably Gavaskar also played because of the nature of the wicket. And it was the last day, but he scored a 96. I remember that, and it was very, very, subcontinental conditions where the ball is turning square, and the rough and the rough marks off the rough marks, and he was like a lone man fighting this.
So was this sometime in the
battle
80s?
on his own. Yeah, it was 80. I don't know,
Listen, dude, you're a
81,
purist
yeah.
because you mentioned Test cricket. Second, you mentioned a classical wrist spinner, Abdul Qadir, and Iqbal Qasim, who was a traditional spinner, not unorthodox like Abdul Qadir, but he had a sidearm action, which was quite cool. And you mentioned a Gavaskar
He was a
90s
finger
and not one of those 3400s.
Left
So I know you're a fan.
loving this conversation.
Correct.
Yeah.
And finally, Richa, any memories of contests in the past?
From the past, I don't know so much, but I think
Now maybe,
this
yeah,
time
now.
after we lost, it was really nice to see, despite all the crazy, stupid fans, Babar, Afridi, and Virat Kohli just hug it out. That was really nice. It was quite graceful, and I thought it sent out the right message.
True. That's a great way to wrap this interview up.
Actually,
Guys, can't
that
wait
is
to see
something.
Yeah, sorry, Amir, go. No, go.
I was saying that has always been the case between India-Pak cricketers.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've heard behind the scenes so many stories of camaraderie, partying together, strong friendships. But it's in our post-truth world, it makes sense to make it a conflict.
Yeah, man. I mean, I remember being a
Yeah.
7-year-old
nice
kid.
to know. I'm glad you.
I remember being
Yeah.
a 7-year-old kid and seeing Imran and Kapil, just guffawing and laughing at each other's jokes off the pitch. It's just fantastic. So we need to remember those things. Thank you,
Yeah.
Tanuj. Thank you, Akshay. Thank you, Amir. Thank you, dear Richa. Lots of love. Take care. Bye.
Thank you,
Thank
Hrishi K.
you,
Hope
Hrishi.
you like
Hrishi
it.
K.
Lovely.
Hope you enjoyed the
Yeah, I
show.
hope you like it.
I'll text you guys.
And I
once
hope
I
you like
watch
my batting, man. I worked really hard on that thing.
Brother,
As a big
for a
cricket
boy
fan,
who's
I
been
really-
deprived of cricket, you deserve applause. I shall watch.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you.